सदा सिंधुअ जी छोली मारवड़न जी मिठड़ी बोली, रहे सदा सिंधुअ जी छोली मारवड़न जी मिठड़ी बोली। गली गली ऐं घर घर गूंजन सिंध अमर जा नारा 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 नारा। जिए सिंध जिए सिंध वारा जियन, सिंध टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। जिए सिंध जिए सिंध वारा जियन, सिंध टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। रहे सदा सिंधुअ जी छोली मारवड़न जी मिठड़ी बोली। गली गली ऐं घर घर गूंजन सिंध अमर जा नारा 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 नारा। जिए सिंध जिए सिंध वारा जियन, सिंध टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। जिए सिंध जिए सिंध वारा जियन, सिंध टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। गाह पुटन ऐं पेरू पचन मौला करे वरी है लवसन। गाह पुटन ऐं पेरू पचन मौला करे वरी है लवसन। हर काठे ऐं कारूं झरते बादल कारा 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 कारा। जिए सिंध जिए सिंध वारा जियन, सिंध टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। जिए सिंध जिए सिंध वारा जियन, सिंध टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। रहे सदा सिंधुअ जी छोली मारवड़न जी मिठड़ी बोली। गली गली ऐं घर घर गूंजन सिंध अमर जा नारा 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 नारा। जिए सिंध जिए सिंध वारा जियन, सिंध टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। जिए सिंध जिए सिंध वारा जियन, सिंध टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। रहे सदा सिंधुअ जी छोली मारवड़न जी मिठड़ी बोली। रहे सदा सिंधुअ जी छोली मारवड़न जी मिठड़ी बोली। गली गली ऐं घर घर गूंजन सिंध अमर जा नारा 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 नारा। जिए सिंध जिए सिंध वारा जियन, सिंध टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। जिए सिंध जिए सिंध वारा जियन, सिंध टोपी अजरक वारा जियन।
Om Shanti, Namaste, Julelal. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to all of you. Before we start our program today, just a few housekeeping rules of the Zoom. The Hindi translation for our program today will happen only at 8 a.m. in New York time, and this will be found at the Zoom meeting bar at the bottom of your invitations. Wherever you're joining us from. America, good morning to you. Canada, good morning to you. Good afternoon to the Middle East and to all of Europe. And of course, good evening to all our viewers all over Asia, India, Hong Kong, Japan, Thailand, Singapore, wherever you're joining from. Congratulations, congratulations for being with us today. Bharu Bhanaru, lakha lakha vadayu, bin kalak gelai asas kadehundasi. What a beautiful moment and a historical moment today is. Ladies and gentlemen, we are cruising through what you call delicate times. There is fear and there is uncertainty in the air today. But one minute jela asa sochu, jade asi Pakistan chale kare, when we left Sindh, panasa asa chakayonsi. What did we take in our hands? Whatever our two hands could carry, we took that. And on our heads, we took all the suitcases. But manji dadi asanke chayo, ta bas petticoat mein, blouse mein, pade mein, sirium, sone ja sirium ya giniyu, subi kare, I nikta. And kithe gya, vai campunte asanke chadiyam. Pune je camp te, Mumbai je camp te, Ulasnagar je camp te, vai utna thi asa Sindhi ki the potayu. From where to where, from zero to hero. This is our community. There's a beautiful saying in Sindhi that I really, really love. Andi mein jodh jagaina wara Sindhi, kakha ke son badhaina wara Sindhi. The Sindhis have an ability to somehow change darkness into light, and they also have the business acumen and the entrepreneurial skills of changing grains of sands into bricks of gold. Awaya Sindhi, as we like to say it. But what is the secret of the success of this amazing community? I could think of only 3 qualities, but I'm sure there are many, and I'm sure that you will agree with me. Behite gali zarur ains, hika Sindhi mein. Bhasha, bhavna, and Sindhian ji bhavi ya taqdeer likh jo. Sindhi ji bhasha edi mithi hai. Kithe bata Sindhi ke gar janda, kere bakunde te ta gar janda. Bas ba akhar, ba boli gali, bas ba akhar gali kare asanji mithi boli sa, bas asanji Sindh ji bhasnati yaad aaye. To odi mala asanja Sindhi bharo bhero zarur tanke ghar mein gurainda. And kuch bhi na milanda va. Papad, pani, garam pakora zarur milanda va. He thawa sanja Sindhi. Panjipai. They give you an immediate sense of belonging by welcoming you to their homes. Sindhi Bhavana. Sindhi Bhavana मशहूर है, खास करके भगवान जे लाइ. जिते किथे सिंधी पे रखंदो, भगवान जे लाइ मंदिर ज़रूर ठाहींदो. They will always create or contribute towards making the Indian or the Sindhi temple. Even in the Middle East, believe it or not, one of the biggest Julelal temple is under construction, and it's going to be magnificent. We love God, and po Sindhi ji bhavi, wa Bhagwan wa Sanja Sindhi wa sadke vanya. बस छो न असांजी तकदीर या लेख या भावी चयो भई साईं जी महर असांजे सिंधियुनि जे मथे ते ज़रूर आहे. आऊं आहियां सिंधी, पर हिकिड़ी ॻाल्हि मां तव्हांखे ज़रूर चवंदसि. In my 30 years of experience with the Brahma Kumari, I have learned and come to a realization. ही ज़रूर मुंहिंजी महसूसता आहे. And what is this? In में असांजी foundation ॾाढी पक्की आहे. And what is this realization? आऊं आहियां बिंदी सिंधी जे शरीर में. आऊं आहियां बिंदी सिंधी जे शरीर में. I am but a soul and I am in a Sindhi body. This is a beautiful realization that's become very strong in my foundation the last 30 years. Bhauru Benarum, Acho Acho Sasa Acho, let me intoxicate you further and take you to the gullies of Sindh with a beautiful short video where you will feel the fragrance of Sindh. Following this beautiful video, you will hear 25 voices of Sindh. These are the young and the old, the simple and the extraordinary Sindhi voices from all over the world. And what are they going to do? They're going to share with you in 20 to 25 seconds their experience of how they have received God's love and protection during this pandemic. Straight after that, zooming in live from St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands, you are going to meet Angelina Daswani, wife of Vivek Daswani and mother of 3 gorgeous boys. Angelina and Vivek run the family's jewelry business from the islands. And recently, tragically, Angelina lost her beloved father in the pandemic, but her courage and her resilience was unmatchable. Very quickly, she formed an online meditation and put together all her family members from all over the world so that they could benefit love and peace of mind from God. Enjoy the following programs and items. Stay tuned wherever you are. Don't leave your Zoom seat, and I'll be back. Namaste.
जिया जियारन मखां जान सारन मखां मंजिले इश्क जे चंद तारन मखां जिया जियारन मखां जान सारन मखां मंजिले इश्क जे चंद तारन मखां काक जी हर कंधिय जे किनारन मखां दुश्मन सिंध खे फाही सुर के पई
Hello everybody, I'm Prakash Mohini. I was introduced to the Brahma Kumaris over 40 years ago when Sister Jayanti taught my mom and I how to meditate at the same time, and it's been an important part of my family's life ever since then. Whether it's professionally or personally, I found that meditation has been incredibly helpful in keeping me focused and always positive. Whether living in Hong Kong, London, or now New York, being part of the Brahma Kumari spiritual family is something that I'll always be grateful for.
I am Laju Sadhwani from the beautiful island of Guam, far away from the rest of the world. It has been my fortune to meet the founder of the Brahma Kumaris in my younger days. It is his great bhavna and blessings that have protected me throughout my life. It is this knowledge which has made me balance my worldly and spiritual lives.
We Sindhis have learnt an important lesson from Varun Devta. The message of our water god is to always keep moving ahead. Forget the past of the partition and flow into the future of the now with faith in God's will.
Listening to the stories of how my mama and papa had to leave Hyderabad, Sindh, and settle into their new lives in Pune and Bombay. And then after getting married, living in Manila, Philippines. It makes me proud to have Sindhiness in me. And then I myself lived in New York for 30 years. Makes me realize that we Sindhis can make anywhere our home. And we can thrive.
Hi, I'm Kush Kripalani, and I'm currently based here in the US. When I think of the Sindhi community, I think of one word, and that one word is glamorous. I'm not only talking about the fancy shoes or the designer handbags, I'm talking about the glamour that's filled in within all of us. We have this innate ability to stay connected with one another despite being all over the world and not having a state. This innate quality keeps us one and wholesome, and that wholesome energy keeps us together no matter how far we're apart.
Being Sindhi means not seeing challenges as obstacles, but more as opportunities. Sindhis are found everywhere in the world. No matter where we are one family, which has never made us feel alone.
We have had many experiences in our lives whereby things don't go as per our plans, and we do get very disappointed at that point of time, but only to realize that actually they were God's blessings in disguise. God is always loving us, helping us, and protecting us from all the unforeseen calamities.
My name is Dr. Natasha Wadhwani, and I'm a general practitioner working for the NHS in the UK. I've been working at the COVID clinics throughout this pandemic, and yes, of course I've been scared, but God's love has guided me through and given me the courage to keep going and helping people who need it.
The Brahma Kumaris have always given me so much stability and gratitude, and no matter where we go in the world, we feel God's love and protection watching over us. Om Shanti.
When the pandemic started, I feared for the health and safety of my family. I started to meditate, and within days I felt God's protective powers slowly ease my fears. Staying connected with God has given me inner strength and calmness.
It's been 8 years since I visited Madhuban as I'm looking after my aged parents. With the anxiety I face daily, whatever obstacles come my way, I manage to overcome them. Being with the Brahma Kumaris for the past 15 years has helped me to develop the courage and strength to push through. God is good all the time.
I'll never be able to relate to having everything you cared for swiped out right from underneath you. That pain, the unfairness, the injustice, that outright inhumanity of it. This was done to my Nana and Nani, but the hope and pride that comes from them, that unbeatable optimism, the confidence in our family and our culture, well, that resides in every one of us, in every Sindhi.
During this pandemic, Chicago has witnessed a lot of upheavals. And as I watch, I remain unshakable because I know God's love, light, and protection is always upon me.
In 1997, when we were new in Kyan, we were going for the class on Sunday morning, and we had to pick someone on the way, and suddenly armed robber attacked on us. They took my jewelry, they took our car. Thankfully, they didn't harm on us, but we got our car back after 1 week. This is the God's love and protection I personally experience.
I, my wife, and my daughter got associated with Brahma Kumaris in 1992. Last year, Brahma Kumaris conducted a project called Pause for Peace throughout Nigeria. Everyone was concerned with the safety for the sisters, but the program was a huge success without any difficulties. This is God's love and protection.
Connecting myself with God the Supreme has strengthened my inner powers, made my mind stable, and my thoughts and feelings pure, positive, and powerful. This is God's grace and love on me.
The impact God's light and presence had on my life is that it made me more of a detached person, allowing me to observe rather than absorbing, and thereby reducing the negativity that comes in and maximizing the productivity and positivity that comes out.
When facing challenges, we do tend to look for support from others, but what we find is they are themselves in problems and are not able to assist us. What I have learned from the Brahma Kumaris is to take strength and support from the Supreme Being.
Few decades back, I came from a war-torn country in Far East, with very little chance of survival due to war and famine, but with complete faith in Bab Dada and his protection, we survived and moved on in life.
Raising a young family in the middle of a pandemic can be scary and quite challenging, but the direct connection we feel to God helps us understand that we are never going through anything alone.
We live in very troubled times, and this year in March I had a very traumatic experience. Both my sons were down with COVID and I could do nothing but make soup for them. After 2 weeks, I did not lose faith in Baba, and within that they had recovered completely and I was absolutely hale and hearty. If this is not Baba's love and protection, then what is?
My association with the Brahma Kumaris took me to Madhuban 5 years ago, where I had the most beautiful meditation experience of my life, the first time ever. And it has helped me to remember that God's protective hand is on my head and I am safe under His loving care.
I always remember Baba's words when he said, "Main hu na." I always feel that he is with me and I have nothing to worry about. He's just a thought away. If I have any issue, all I have to do is remember him, and he is there to guide me, to love me, to protect me.
It's a pleasure to connect with all of you on this Sindhi Day organized by the Brahma Kumaris. I would like to share that Dada Lekhraj was friends with my grandfather, Diwan Sirumal Israni from Sindh, and my father, Justice I. Israni, was very instrumental in getting Brahma Kumaris land to build their headquarters in Mount Abu. When I lost my father, their peaceful teachings had a very healing effect on me. It has been a special experience to enjoy prasad and learn the journey of soul, karma, and dharma with the Brahma Kumaris.
I have many health problems. Sometimes things are difficult for me, but somehow or the other I always get help. It's God's protection over me. I feel grateful to God that He is always taking care of me in this pandemic period.
By grace of Almighty Authority God, in meditation, slowly I got positive thoughts and vibration, which in turn helped me attaining health, wealth, happiness, and finally my peace of mind.
We are truly blessed to know the Brahma Kumari organization. They have been an essential part of our lives. It is through them that we have learned the practice of meditation, which has helped us to live a more meaningful, loving, and peaceful life.
They are spiritual sisters, always appearing at the right time to provide their love and guiding support.
It's my fortune to be associated with the Brahma Kumaris from a young age of 4 with my mother. And every day when we listen to the spiritual lectures, our Murli from the Supreme Father, there's so much of deep realizations of truth And that meditation helps me to connect with the Supreme and experience His love, the magic of His companionship, where every day I experience myself to be His chosen instrument, and He is working through me, guiding me to elevate my state of mind and make my life beautiful, but also be an instrument to bring about change and empower so many people's lives and bring them closer to God.
What a wonderful sharing of experiences from everyone that sent in their videos. Thank you so much. Om Shanti, everyone. It is my honor and pleasure to be able to welcome our Didi Jayanti Kirpalani, who was born in Pune, India, of Sindhi parents. She migrated from England in the 1950s. Her return to India at the age of 19 led her to begin her life's path with the Brahma Kumaris as a spiritual student and tireless emissary for peace. With her deep love for truth, God, and humanity, Didi Jayanti is committed to restoring dignity and grace to the heart of every soul. She has touched the lives of many through her art of sharing deep spiritual truths with clarity and compassion. Directly following her, we can all welcome Brother Brad Arkin, who is the Executive VP of Global Sourcing, Perry Ellis International, one of the largest menswear companies in the US. He has been deeply committed to his spiritual life with the Brahma Kumaris for 34 years. He sees the potential in the study to transform himself and expand the heart. Enjoy this lovely presentation, and let's welcome Didi Jayanti and Brother Brad. Thank you.
Om Shanti. It's wonderful to be with all of you, my Sindhi brothers and sisters. मूंखे ॾाढी घणी ख़ुशी पई थिए त सारे विश्व में जेके मुंहिंजा सिंधी भाउर भेनरूं आहिनि उन्हनि खे शिव बाबा जी पहचान मिली आहे, ब्रह्मा बाबा जी पहचान मिली आहे ऐं अॼु असीं सभु गॾु थी हलियूं पिया. If you pardon me, I'll go back to English. I understand Sindhi very well, but my speaking capacity is very, very limited. And I'm sure we'll have future programs in which we'll have Sindhi speakers and also Hindi speakers for sure. In that little video clip that you saw earlier, you saw something happening in Hyderabad, Sindh, a little blossoming of a tiny, tiny little tree. And starting from Hyderabad, Sindh, today the world, that little tiny, tiny seedling has sprung into a huge tree that's giving comfort and support to all our brothers and sisters across the globe. Today, we are especially honoring our Sindhi family, but of course, the spiritual family encompasses people of all traditions, all faiths and no faith. All of these things are part of our brotherhood of the family, Vasudha Kutumba. And so definitely, the Sindhi family has a lot to feel very grateful for. God has blessed us in a very specific way. And I want to mention that one very specific way. In 1936, when that tiny little seedling sprouted, the one who is up above chose one of our own community, a man who many of you knew personally, or your ancestors knew personally. His name was Dada Lekraj Kirpalani, and he was a jeweler of great repute and great charisma also. And he had a series of visions that transformed his life. He understood that the present world that we're going through is going to go through much upheaval. But beyond that, things would settle, things would become calm, there would be an experience of transformation, and there would be a better world with truth and love, justice for all, equality for all, happiness for all. He was very inspired by this vision of a better world, but he had a question. How is this going to happen? He understood from his gurus, he had a series of gurus, and he had learned a lot from each one. And when he went to them talking about his visions, he could see from their eyes that they didn't have answers for him. So he went into solitude and he spent time with himself and the Creator, understanding, unraveling what it is he had seen and trying to understand the significance of it all. And he then understood that he had to be an instrument, to be the one who could help lay the foundation of that future world. One of the first things that struck him was that if there was to be a world of equality, then there had to be justice in terms of gender balance. And so, knowing that that community needed that support and help, the doors were open for all. Men and women were coming. And by the time the institution got organized in Karachi in 1937, what he had decided was that young women and women a little older, but these women were to be the teachers and leaders to help bring about that spiritual transformation through spiritual knowledge, through education. And you saw some of those photographs of those very early days, and those young sisters were selected, not by him, but were selected by the divine to carry out this task. I'm sure that within that galaxy of the young ones, you saw the photographs in Sindh. You must have recognized some of them because maybe you are their descendants, because somebody's uncle or aunt or grandmother or great aunt, somehow or another, the Sindhi community is very connected worldwide. But also many of you are connected not only with Brahma Baba, that was the name he was given by the one above, but also through many of the others who became the leaders of our organization. And when Brahma Baba passed away in 1969, and I had the great fortune of meeting him many, many times through my childhood and through my teenage years, and I was very happy to be part of his physical family. I carry that name, Kirplani. And so my grandmother, my grandfather knew him personally and of course had many shared many stories about him. But at that moment in 1969, I had just recently surrendered about 9 months earlier. I had selected this to be my path, and Brahma Baba was very, very pleased. He had actually predicted that this would happen sometime earlier, a few years earlier, but I didn't know, but he knew more than I did. And from 1969, when I came back to London, to my parents' home, it was an introduction to a different setting, a different lifestyle in which I was adapting my own understanding of Raj Yoga to the world that I had known before I had decided all this. So it was a very interesting phase, but miraculous things happen. And from a few families, a center started in 1971. And in 1974, the curtain opened on a new dawn. Didi Janki arrived in London. And so many of you have met her, loved her, and benefited from her spiritual teachings, and most of all, maybe her friendship and her maternal love for all of you. And it has been that pure love that has inspired us to share all of this with you today, especially. I know that Sister Mohini has also joined us and is watching, and she and I together would see the love that Didi Janki had for each one of the descendants of those early days of Sindh, and she knew that you would carry that flame of love in your heart for God, and she also knew that you would translate those teachings into your practical life. Today, I feel very, very blessed that I'm part of this family and community. And that period between 1937 to 1950, before they moved to Abu, what do you think they were doing? The world was going through great turmoil through that whole period. The Second World War happened, later the Partition War happened. And what these people were doing in their community and they were scattered in different homes across Karachi. 60 young sisters living in one particular building in Kunj Bhavan, which still exists today. I've seen it, I've been there. Many of the others, some of you even are the descendants of people who lived in those homes. And so there was a boy bhavan, which was for the young boys. There was a mother's bhavan, there was a brother's bhavan. So they were scattered in that community. But what each one of them was doing was going on that inner journey and exploring what was happening in the laboratory of the mind. They were discovering the secrets of the power of thought. They understood the power of a pure mind, a pure heart. They could have that experience of a connection with the divine, in which they knew that it was that purity, love, and truth coming from the divine that would allow their hearts to be transformed, their minds to be transformed, and they would then be able to be part of that foundation of the transformation of the world to a wonderful, beautiful world that we all long for. But the things that they were experiencing gave them the courage, the power, and the faith to continue to stay in Karachi way after partition, all the way through till 1950, when the guidance that Brahma Baba received was that it was time to move to Abu. They came to Mount Abu, and for another year, and so it was a whole period of about 14 years in which they had very deep transformative experiences of meditation and the experience of God. And that 14-year span of tapasya prepared them for a life of service out in the community. And so from 1951, they went back at the invitation of their families and friends. And as they connected with everyone, people wanted to know more, and centers started springing up. And then, of course, the centers abroad also. And so nobody could have imagined that this group of young women, of course, fired with their passion of love for God, but also their understanding of truth and knowledge, that these young women would be the foundation of an organization that would span the world. I'm sure that those of you who remember the days of Om Mandli or have heard about those stories of Om Mandli could not have imagined or envisioned such a situation as today, where today the Brahma Kumaris are deeply connected with the United Nations as an NGO, and we work with general consultative status with the United Nations, which basically means that when there's a situation that needs a spiritual input, for example, like climate change, or for example, like the equality of genders and women's role for youth, for young people, so many different situations of the world, the environment, health, all of these things actually have a spiritual understanding to them. And the UN recognizes this. And so it's wonderful that the Brahma Kumaris at the UN in New York, in Geneva, in Vienna, contribute in a very major way to the development of the Sustainable Development Goals. Because Brahma Baba told us many years ago that yes, there can be a happy world for all. There can be a world of justice. There can be a world of suffering. All of this is possible, not just for you and me. We are blessed already, and we have a great deal already, but for the whole world. Abundance for all, happiness for all. But he said, this was a long time ago, but his words are coming true today. He said to me at that moment when I had decided to surrender, this was in June 1968, he said, is it possible for there to be a world free from suffering? I was 19, he was 92, so I didn't have an answer, he did. He said, yes. Is it possible for there to be a world in which there's no sickness? Yes. Is it possible for a world to be free from poverty? He again said, yes, there is. because it's only the negative energy within the human soul that prevents us from achieving all of this. And with God's power and love, we can transform ego and anger and lust and greed and attachment. We can remove all of these. And yes, then we can create a better world. But you can't tell anyone to do this. You have to do it yourself. And then others will also feel inspired, and the flame will be ignited, and they will begin to serve the same goal, so that truly, with everyone's little finger of cooperation, we create a better world for all. And so when I change, would you believe it? My little world changes. That's easy to understand. But when I change, the whole world can change. Isn't it an amazing, powerful thought that one of our own community, the one who was Dada and had earned the respect of the community, and then who changed his life completely, has been the instrument to make so much happen and share with us the teachings of the divine? When I would hear Brahma Baba, I knew that it wasn't just this man speaking. I knew, I could feel, I could experience it. It was the one above speaking through him, because these were secrets that nobody had revealed up until then. And now we have the amazing fortune of being able to access those secrets, the secrets of the soul, the secrets of God, the secrets of this amazing world drama and what goes on within all of this. All these are amazing things that we can understand very, very simply. And most of all, experience the validity of all of this in our lives. In the awareness of I, the soul, I connect with the divine. And then God is no longer an abstract concept, but rather God comes into the very center of my life, into my heart, and I'm able to experience all the treasures that God wants me to have in my life, so that I can have peace and love and joy and purity and truth. But of course, then it doesn't stay with 1 or 10 or 100. It's shared with the world, and the whole world can begin to experience the beauty of all of this. And so thank you for giving us your time. Thank you to all those wonderful people who shared their experiences. And most of all, thank you to Milupen. I was very moved in the way that you spoke, and thank you for sharing. And so my hope is that as we journey together further through this program, there'll be something that you find that you can use immediately in your life here and now, that connection with God, so that you too can have all the treasures that He would like you to experience here and now, so that you become an instrument to be able to share that light and love and peace with not just your community, but with everybody who you're in touch with. Om Shanti.
Swagat, aap kaise ho? Namaste, welcome. My name, as I was introduced, is Brad Bhai. Mera naam Brad Bhai. Mujho nalo Brad Bhai aahe. Mujhe थोड़ी हिंदी बोलनी आती है, लेकिन like Sister Jayanti, meri Sindhi bahut kharab hai. I've been with the Brahma Kumaris for 34 years. मैं 34 साल से Brahma Kumari में हूँ. And it's been an exciting, a very enriching, very exciting, amazing life. I consider it one of the great achievements of my life, that I've been in it so long, and I've been dedicated, and there's been just so many changes in my life. When I came to the Brahma Kumaris 34 years ago, actually, I was living where I am now in Miami Beach, Florida. Life was very good. Life was very easy. And I really wasn't actively looking for any spirituality, anything spiritual. But I happened to hurt my foot very badly. And a cousin of mine who's in the Brahma Kumaris 35 years, she was going to the center. And I decided that I would go and possibly be able to relieve the pain that I was experiencing through meditation. And I said, why not? And of course, there was just 5 classes, and the classes were free. I had nothing to lose. Little did I know that at the end of that week, when I heard about each lesson day by day, I felt like this is the truth, this is right, and this is exactly what I am going to be doing. And I had a little bit of a slow start. Being having a great life and being American, it wasn't easy for me to jump into all the disciplines and whatnot, which is part of the Brahma Kumari lifestyle. And it wasn't until I actually went to Mount Abu in 1991 that I had this thought that in order for me to make effort, in order for me to progress, I wanted to have an experience. In particular, I wanted to have an experience of love. I wanted an experience of love that was going to transcend any other experience of love that I had from parents, from friends, or from relationships. I would talk to God, I would talk to Baba constantly that if you give me this experience, I will definitely become Pakka. And that was my promise that I made. And during that retreat, I had a great time. And at the end of the retreat, I sat with Daddy Janki, and she gave me a very powerful meditation experience together. And when I left, I didn't feel that experience. I kind of left Mount Abu a little disappointed, actually. And on the way down back to Ahmedabad, it was a 5-hour drive in those days. And then I had a 4-hour delay in the airport waiting for my flight back to Bombay. And I was kind of getting like a little depressed, that I felt like I didn't get the experience and whatnot. And as I was sitting actually in the airport, I had bought a pen in the gift shop, and these little pens, they're very cute. They have like a Lakshmi Narayan picture on them, but there's a little click function, and there's a window on the side of the pen. And there were 3 slogans that you'd click, and you'd see the slogans. And one of them was, be holy, be Raj Yogi, Yogi Bano, Pavitra Bano. And the other one was be simple, be sample. And then the last one, which was the one that actually struck me as very powerful, was as I was sitting there, it said, no effort, no luck. And it actually reminded me when I was a kid, I took 20 years of piano lessons, and I used to take these very big pieces to learn in classical music. And the teacher, I'd say, I need to be inspired. And she would tell me, no, it's 99% perspiration, 1% inspiration. And as I sat there with this no effort, no luck thing, it dawned on me that actually I wasn't making the right effort. Yeah, had I had experiences, that I loved the knowledge and everything, it clicked with me. But I just was missing that energy, that push to like make these efforts, because the disciplines are actually a very big part of the experience, and especially when you're trying to connect with God, it has a very big, has a lot to do with it. So anyway, I made a promise sitting in the airport, I am going to definitely become pure and pakka. And I even said, Baba, I said, Zurur, main hamesha ke liye pakka rahunga. And I kind of, the minute I promised that to myself, I felt a little surge of energy from Baba, and I felt very light, and I felt very excited to kind of begin that. And just so happens that at the time, our co-head of the university, Daddy Prakashmani, Daddy Kumarka, was coming in back from Bombay on the plane that I was going to Bombay on. And when the Lotus House that takes care of the guests, the visitors, the pilgrims, so to speak, someone came to the airport to make sure that I got off. I was the only one in the airport at that time from the retreat. And she said to me, Daddy Kumarka is coming in on your flight. And I said, I need to meet her. I really want to meet her. And they took me back to the baggage carousel, and Daddy came in. And when I walked into the area there was a group of BKs, senior BKs, that had come to meet Daddy. And the minute the sister said, this brother has just come from Madhaban, they all turned around, and there was like a dozen people there. And they all started like looking at me with what we call drishti. It's an exchange through the eyes when you're connected with God. And the feeling that I had was actually these waves of love that I had never felt before. It was so powerful. And then right behind, Daddy Kumarka comes in, and she was holding 2 large, beautifully gigantic roses. I'd never seen roses that big. And I went up to her and she handed me a rose and she held my hand and she continued to give me that drishti, that experience through the eyes. And again, that feeling of love that I was looking for, I felt it. And she walked a little bit ahead and she beckoned me to come back again. She took my hand the second time. She gave me the second rose and she continued to give me that. And that actually was what was my inauguration, my kickoff to leading a much more disciplined life with diet and even celibacy and of course, not going out. It was a big thing. At the time I was living in Hong Kong and I was having a very good social life. Another thing I want to also say is I was watching the pictures earlier of Sindh and hearing everybody's experiences. And a long time ago, I was sitting at lunch with Daddy Janki and someone randomly asked her, Daddy, was Brad back in those days, like in another birth? And Daddy, she just said close connection. And I've always felt this very, very, very deep connection with the Sindhi community, especially through work in the garment business. I've met countless Sindhis through business in Indonesia, in all countries. And I'm always joking and I always say, "Main sochta hu ke pichle janm mein zarur Sindhi tha." I say, "Mera sharir gora dikhta hai, lekin atma aur dil Sindhi hai." And one of the teachers in London, my family name is Arkin, she actually calls me Arkani. So I took that as a badge of honor that my name was Sindhified. But I've always, when I see those pictures, and I hear so many stories, so more than half my life in the Brahma Kumaris, and I heard all the stories of the beginning of the organization, I actually feel that that's my story too. I definitely feel a connection to it. I see the pictures, I hear the stories, and as I'm looking or even listening to the stories, I feel like I'm pulled back into that time, like I see it so clearly, and it touches me very, very deeply. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you that one of the things that I love about my Brahmin life is one, that every day that I wake up, I feel I have the opportunity to change myself, to transform myself. And as we've seen with COVID and everything happening in the world, everybody's on the descending, and I feel every single day I'm on the ascending, that there's always a chance to go higher, and I'm going up and up. And I feel like we always use the analogy, the metaphor of the lotus flower, that I'm above the mud and above all that's going on. And I also love to see the impact that it's had on other people around me. In my company, the classes are given in the company. Daddy Janki came to the office. She gave a class 20 years ago, and the office was never the same again. And I just absolutely love the experiences that other people have had through me. And I'm a little militant about what it is that I do. I don't ask people to go anymore. I tell people they have to go. And being that my business has a lot to do with customer service, I've never had a customer go to the Brahma Kumaris where there's been any complaints. Everyone's always thanked me, and it's even if it's taken just a little bit, even if it's just a CD. They've had beautiful experiences, and it's helped them a lot. So having said that, I will say goodbye and go on to the next person. So Om Shanti, and good luck with your spiritual endeavors as well.
Welcome back to all our viewers. We have been receiving a lot of messages from the chat. Our Zoom is now maxed, completely full. We request that you all go and switch on to the YouTube channel. Our chat lines are all open. Hundreds of you that are there, please kindly connect through chat and then enter into our YouTube rooms. Right now, thank you so much, Sister Jayanti, for such a beautiful explanation of how a tiny acorn grows into a mighty oak. And yes, Brad, you are now officially Brad Arkani. Welcome. Now, straight live, we have Seema Ramchandani from Hong Kong. She's multi-talented, multilingual, and she plays a number of musical instruments. She's here to share a beautiful song, Seema Ramchandani, the Nightingale of Sindh.
Hik hik akhar muhinjo शल तुंहिंजी महिमा गाए हिक हिक विचार मुंहिंजो पियो तोखे साराए हृदय में हरि नाम वसे वनी मामा सब मरी एक तू ही तू एक तू ही तू उचार्या वरी वरी एक तू ही तू एक तू ही तू उचार्या वरी वरी एक तू ही तू एक तू ही तू उचार्या वरी वरी हिक हिक अखर मुंहिंजो शल तुंहिंजी महिमा गाए हिक हिक विचार मुंहिंजो पियो तोखे साराए हृदय में हरि नाम वसे वही मामा सब मरी हृदय में हरि नाम वसे वही मामा सब मरी एक तू ही तू एक तू ही तू उचार्या वरी वरी तू ही तू तू ही तू तू ही तू तू ही तू उचार्या वरी वरी एक तू ही तू एक तू ही तू उचार्या वरी वरी Every word I speak, may it glorify thee, O Lord. Every word I speak, may it glorify thee, O Lord. Every thought I think, may it praise thee, O Lord. Every thought I think, may it praise thee, O Lord. With thy holy name, fill thou my heart. I am not alone, thou art. With thy holy name, fill thou my heart. I am not alone, thou art. Alone, thou art. Alone, thou art. I am nothing. Alone, thou art. Alone thou art, alone thou art, I am not alone thou art. Tu hi tu, tu hi tu, tu hi tu, tu hi tu, uchaarya vari vari. Tu hi tu, tu hi tu, tu hi tu, tu hi tu, uchaarya vari vari. Hik hik akhar muhinjo शल तुंहिंजी महिमा गाए हिक हिक विचार मुंहिंजो पियो तोखे साराए Every word I speak, may it glorify thee, O Lord. Every thought I think, may it praise thee, O Lord. With thy holy name, fill thou my heart. Oh, with thy holy name, fill thou my heart. I am not alone, thou art. Alone, thou art. Alone, thou art. I am not alone, thou art. Alone, thou art. Alone, thou art. I am nothing. Alone, thou art. Tu hi tu, tu hi tu, tu hi tu, tu hi tu, uchaarya vari vari. Ik tu hi tu, ik tu hi tu, uchaarya vari vari. Uchaarya vari vari. Hik hik akhar muhinjo शल तुंहिंजी महिमा गाए हिक हिक विचार मुंहिंजो पियो तोखे
Om Shanti.
Seema Ramchandani, that was a beautiful, soulful sound, went deep right into all of us. And now we come to the highlight of our program, ladies and gentlemen. 2 short videos. The first one will show you our tribute to Dadi Janki. And the second one is a small, tiny video that will show you the headquarters. Believe it or not, from the period of March, from October to March, over 28,000 meditators fly into Mount Abu, and on a rotation of always every 2 weeks, they live together, fed 3 meals a day, go on pilgrimages, and enjoy sessions in meditation. You will see the most magnificent solar system that had been featured specifically by the BBC in London. And following this beautiful video is our tribute to beloved Dadi Janki. Dadi Janki left her mortal coil on the 27th of March at the age of 104. In her 100+ life, she has experienced the Second World War, the Great Depression, the India-Pakistan partition, many historic events. She has met with the king and queens, prince and princesses, priests and popes, the simple and the extraordinary. She's traveled the globe, and after a period of almost 50, 60 years, she returned to her beloved Sindh. She would always say, do every kind of service, but minja Sindhi bharo bhenor ke visarjana. Please make programs to service for my Sindhi brethren. And now in mesmerized silence, let us pay a tribute to our beloved Dadi Janki, a true saint and a daughter of Sindh.
Electrician knows how to connect the wire to the right place to let the current flow. So that is a bit of an electrician. She knows how to join the wires together. Dadi's earliest memory is of being 2 years of age in her cradle, and she was hearing her uncle chant the name of Rama, the name of God. And so she was born into a very religious family, a philanthropic family. Her parents decided that rather than put her in a normal school, a pandit would come home and would teach her at home from the scriptures. And this continued till age 9. And at that time, then she went to school just for 3 years. And in 3 years, she managed to pass 6 different levels. She was a bright student, as you can imagine. And age 11, she said to her father, it was time to study science at school. And she said to her father that science might change my mind about God and take me away from God. And I don't want that to happen. So let me have my further education by going on pilgrimage. And so her father shut up shop and took her on pilgrimage to the 4 corners of India. आपको याद है वो कौन सी घड़ी थी ये फोटो की? And the question that she had for the sages that she would meet on her pilgrimages was, tell me your experience of God. Don't talk to me about God or what the scriptures say. Tell me your personal experience. And from the blank look in their eyes, she knew that it was something they were striving for, but they hadn't yet come to. it tells me that this has been the whole of her life. There hasn't been any other interest in her life except to know God and to know the self, and secondly, to serve humanity.
Not far from where Daddy lived, another story was just about to unfold. The story of Dada Lekraj. Born in a very religious family, the son of a school teacher in Hyderabad in the state of Sindh, Dada Lekraj had been on a spiritual quest since the early 1930s. When he was approaching his age of retirement, he underwent a series of visionary experiences that would transform him completely. Seeking a higher understanding of God and divine truth, he created a spiritual gathering called Om Mandali, which later would become the Brahma Kumaris. 100 years old, her love for her close friends is always moving to watch. Her fragile little hands and her magic eyes seem to have served all her life to do just that, to enable others to get in touch with their best part. In 2010, Daddy Janki decided to revisit where it all started for her. For the first time in over 60 years, she returned to Pakistan, to what had been the Indian state of Sindh before the partition of India. This was where she was born in 1916. In 1937, Brahma Baba had just created a trust to which he surrendered his wealth. The trust was composed of young women to look after the growth of the movement. For Daddy Janki, this was walking in the footprints of her past, when she met Brahma for the first time in that year of 1937.
She was out in the park in the early morning hours with her father, and she saw this person coming towards them. And afterwards, she said to her father, "Did you see that?" And it was clear that he hadn't noticed anything different. It was just courtesy and hello, and you move on. But what she saw was light. She didn't see this man, she saw this amazing glow of light. And that made her understand that something very unique had happened. And when she investigated further, she found the teachings that were being shared through this man.
मैं कुछ मुख से बोलती हूँ, पहले सैले से जाती हूँ, साखियों को अगर देखती हूँ, संसार में मनुष्यों की एनर्जी कितनी उतरती कला में, ये रियलाइज होना चाहिए। चढ़ती कला में कैसे जावे, चढ़ती कला में दो बातों की शक्ति लेके जाती है, एक आत्म शक्ति, दूसरा परमात्मा के कनेक्शन की शक्ति, एनर्जी बनती है।
And now, at more than 100 years old, she still finds the energy to continue.
दादी, प्रोग्राम में जाना जरूरी है, लोगों को मिलना है।
क्यों नहीं गुजारा? उसमें कुदरत लिखा है, सच्ची दिल पर साहिब राजी। तो मैं भी हिम्मत है बच्चे, मदद है बाप, नियत साफ, मुराद जो संकल्प कर रहे ना हो जाता है। परमात्मा बाप कौन है, कैसा है, उसको पहचानने से जो ताकत आती है, ताकत सबको काम करती है।
How special and how beautiful those two videos were. It is my pleasure to be able to welcome our next speaker, Didi Mohini Punjabi, who is a spiritual leader and educator with over 60 years of study and practice of Raj Yoga. Born in India, she currently serves as the main spiritual resource of the Brahma Kumaris activities in the Americas and the Caribbean. Gifted with a vision that is as far-sighted as it is pure-hearted, Didi Mohini supports every soul in her spiritual development through recognizing their highest potential. She speaks with a depth of wisdom that inspires and a true love that empowers. Didi Mohini is based in Great Neck, New York, where she serves as the president of the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual Organization of the USA. Enjoy and welcome to Didi Mohini.
Om Shanti. We just take a break for one moment and go in silence with the feelings of love and gratitude. Just a moment. Just go within. Om Shanti. So many beautiful feelings are emerging of my experiences with Brahma Baba. Sister Jayanti mentioned Dada Lekhraj, but now I will keep mentioning Brahma Baba, or I will just say Baba. Baba means father, because he is and he was our spiritual father. Also, my feelings of gratitude for Dadi Janki, because it will be 6 months actually tomorrow when she reached to her angelic stage and she left us in a physical way. But I feel, we all feel that she is still with us. So my feelings of love and gratitude for Brahma Baba, for Dadi Janki, and of course, for all the elders in my community. So that's why I just wanted to express that feelings of love and gratitude. Today I'm a little bit emotional because, of course, meeting my own community and thinking of my spiritual life and how I was nurtured by all these senior daddies. Also, I want to express my gratitude to Dada Mohan, because when he left body, he was not well in hospital. We were meditating for him. And after that, when he left body, the family continued and they are still taking class. There are many of them. So I'm sure that that soul had something very deep within, love for God, love for humanity. That's something for us in the community started. I must say that a lot of good things have been shared by different, some of you shared your experiences. But what I find in our community, Sindhi community, is that they believe in one word, and I will say that in Sindhi, it's called Ashish. Wherever I go, Ashish karo, Ashish do. They go to elders, because Sindhi community, one beautiful thing is that they are family-oriented people. We like to be in family, younger ones, older ones, and we keep our older ones at home until the end. Many, they want to admit their parents, grandparents into nursing homes, senior citizen homes, but I haven't heard Sindhi is doing that. And I respect that we could take care of our older members of the family until the last day. We continue memorial service for them, we continue Sharad for them. So because believing in Ashirvad or Ashish, there are two qualities which we are able to nurture. These two qualities are devotion, lot of devotion. And second, because devotion could also be towards the work, towards the family, and of course towards the God. But it's a quality of bhavana, the devotion. Second important quality is seva, to serve. Serve, whether it is langar, whether it is serving the poor or some way or other, to serve. And because of devotion and serving, we all become worthy of receiving Ashish. I was traveling once in Air India. So one father and son, both Sindhis, they came. Dadi, where are you traveling? I said, I'm going to Delhi. They took out few $100 and gave me, Seva mein lagana, use it in Seva. And I was surprised, who will do this in the plane? But I was very touched by the Seva, the feelings of Seva in our community. So I came in contact with Brahma Kumaris in 1951. I was 10 years old. Many of them, many Brahma Kumaris, now we call them dadis, but they were sisters. They came to my grandparents' home because my grandparents, my parents, half of the family was in business. But my mother's side, they were all in government service. So some of them were in good positions. And they came because they wanted to start something in India. Because after partition, they were in Mount Abu. And then Brahma Baba was telling them that you all have to go and you have to serve. It was very new to them. But then some of them, they came to Delhi. They didn't know anyone. They knew my grandfather from Karachi because there was a time, I think many of you might know, that all our grandparents, or they all went somewhere to Manali, to my grandfather. I mean, whole family used to go, but then of course, when all these disciplines and all kinds of things start happening, then they withdrew. But then Brahma Kumaris, those dadis knew my grandfather. So they got the address and they came. They wanted a small place in Delhi. If they could get telephone, some facilities, and especially at that time there was rationing. So they needed their card, they needed ration, all these kinds of basic needs to settle in new country. It was kind of new after partition. So my grandfather and my uncles, they were able to help them. I was still in school. And as you know that there was this whole propaganda about Brahma Kumaris, that if they look at you, if they give you something, put surma in your eyes, then magic will happen, then they will leave home. Of course, my grandfather was very scared. So all the children, especially girls, were not allowed to come in front of them because they said, oh, if they will look at them, their eyes, they will run away, all that. So we were kept all the way far from them. But you know that when you are restricted about something, then there is more curiosity. Oh, I really want to see. So when they are about to leave from the front door, I will go from the back door and try to say hello to them. And of course, because our family traditionally very charitable, oh, what can I do you? Do you need anything? Because they looked very simple. And I felt, I just start talking to them. And this is where actually my introduction began. And then in 1952, they were able to establish center in Delhi. Then there was a center in Lucknow. Lucknow was also then, small centers start opening. And it was in I think after 5-6 years when I completed my school and I went to university, one of the branch began near my home. So I asked my family, can I go? First, they were very reluctant and they said, I said, but I'm going to college now and I have 2 months and I want to understand more about God, about spirituality. Please let me go. So they allowed me to go. They said maximum 2 weeks you can go. I said, okay, I will go for 2 weeks. I learned the lessons and learned meditation, but I start having very, very deep experiences of my relationship with God. I just feel so much calling from God and so much love. But then I still was so clear for me now that this calling from God is that I can serve through this life. I can be devoted to give the message of God to everyone. And it's so interesting, all that transformation happened. And I still went to university for another 6-7 years, did a lot of few degrees here, there to please my family. But then on the other side, I started getting very involved to help the sisters because they didn't speak much Hindi. They spoke Sindhi and they had to give talks in Hindi. So I will go with them, help them. And this is how really the service began in India. And then this whole thing of deeply within, as I said, we all have seva bhavna. And I thought that why people are suffering? If they had knowledge of karmas, if they understand what is the right way to think, they will not be suffering. So why not just give this knowledge to everyone? That was the only thought I had because we were very involved in different kinds of social service, especially after partition. There were orphans, there were a lot of tragedies with the families. So we were able to help socially, but then I thought that why not help them spiritually? So I started to getting more and more involved. So then, when I came, there were only 7 centers of Brahma Kumaris in India. And then gradually invitations from different states start coming, and then group of us will travel from one state to another, get centers started. So very, very beautifully the expansion began in India. And it was in when Brahma Baba, he left body, became angelic. And after that, there was some invitations from foreign countries. 1972, there was invitation from Germany. So they asked me to go because, as Jayanti said, some of us knew English. And because of that, we got this offer. And I accepted, and I came to Germany, came to London first, then Germany, and went in many countries of Europe and I had learned how to get center started. So it was very beautiful journey. And from there to Canada and then to USA, it's almost 40 plus years in USA. And when we came to USA, the center was started in New York and California. But also we got this opportunity to become the member of United Nations. Whenever I used to go for conferences in Asia, many other countries at that time, uh, came to know many people from UN, from USA. So some of them were saying, when you come, we will help you. Your organization can be member of United Nations. So I said, what will we do there? They said, but you are the ones who give the message of peace. So this is how we became affiliated with UN. Now we have a very beautiful office just across the UN building, and we serve lot of people and come in contact. But then from there, first center was Hong Kong and London. I also went to Hong Kong in 72 and then afterwards also, and then in London. And after that, there was invitation from Caribbean, from Guyana. There are many Sindhis in Guyana. Then Trinidad, there was this Kriplani family, Ram Kriplani, he invited us. Then in Suriname, Barbados, so many countries in Caribbean. Then in South America, we have all the countries of South America, Latin America have centers. There are about 40 countries from New York, we coordinate. So Europe, all these continents, the invitation will come because one of our principle is that if a group of 5 people can send a letter to organization that for 1 year we will take responsibility to send 2 sisters and we will sponsor them. And of course, after 1 year, all the centers become self-sufficient because you all know that we don't charge any fee, but it should come from the heart. When people find that it's benefiting them, and it's good if there are centers so that others can also be served, then they will, So this way now, worldwide, about 120, 30, exact number, not thinking of at this time. We have centers all over and we serve, as Sister Jayanti mentioned, people of all religions, age, any race, they can come and they are welcome. And of course, as it was mentioned that 2 things are very, very known of Brahma Kumaris. Of course, love, but love in the form of, I don't know about in Hong Kong, but everywhere, our Brahma Bhojan, you saw how they cook, is very tasty. No onion, no garlic, 100% vegetarian, not only vegetarian, but cooked in remembrance of God, offered to God. Very sattvic food is cooked, So I remember one time someone came during midday to Mount Abu in Gansarovar and came by taxi and went directly to kitchen because it was during day, they couldn't find food in the hotels. So taxi driver said, there is only one place. You go to Brahma Kumaris, you can always get food. Some or other during day, nobody was in kitchen. Anyway, I came to know they are from New York and then came to know that they are the people, the owners of our Manhattan Center. So, I said, come, most welcome. I'm just saying that the love is expressed in the form of sharing food. And so now at this time, what is very important in our life is to create this inner space, very peaceful. My inner space, very peaceful. Because peace is inner energy. It's a very positive energy. It is strength. Because when you are peaceful, then your power to discern is very clear. When you are peaceful, you are thinking very, very clearly. Thinking very clearly, of course, positive, but also to discern and then to decide for the right thing. That means to make right choices is very, very important. And what I find that when mind is calm and peaceful, not under pressure, no confusion, not filled with temptation, desires, just be calm and peaceful. And for that, this practice of meditation, we recommend everyone in the morning, in the evening, just practice meditation. Make your mind very still, very peaceful, with very simple thoughts, which you will hear in the end also, little practice of meditation. And second thing is what is very important at this time, very deep feelings of compassion. Very, very deep feelings of compassion, because, you know, when this corona happened, immediately word came to my mind is karuna. Karuna means compassion. You know what kind of fear is all over the world from just one virus. And we know that is coming from whatever they say, source is animals. And suddenly I felt that what we doing to animal kingdom, torture, killing, so it's a very revengeful energy. It's a very, even we can blame anyone, any country. But I feel somewhere, because it's worldwide, we all are somewhere participating in that spread, and that is some kind of violence towards animals. So my request at this time, especially to my community, just eat vegetarian. You have enough, enough vegetables. Plus, I know Sindhis are very good in cooking. You can make curry, you can make sai bhaji, you can make chana dal dudi, you can make so many beautiful dishes and have vegetarian. Cook in God's remembrance, eat in God's remembrance, so that all the children, grandchildren, everyone really could remain very, very safe. There is a saying, when there is eclipse, you have to donate. De dan chute gran. It's a big eclipse. They call it mara mari, in the sense of, you know, it's really, really, I say it's just like this virus is the agent of death. People can't go out, you have to wear masks, you have to, whatever you do. Yesterday I heard one family, 8 of them went somewhere and all 8 got. So no one knows from where it comes, but it's the energy. Somewhere that revenge, energy is there. So it's my humble request, really, that just eat vegetarian and let that energy affect you in any way. Your children, grandchildren, your elders, everyone. I know cooking takes little time, but it's cooked. When you cook, if you have prayer room, temple, I think most of the Sindhis have, take that, offer, make it prasad, and then eat it. So I have 2 suggestions. One is meditation in the morning, even 10 minutes, 10 minutes before sleeping, wind up your thoughts, sleep in peace. So have this compassion, and especially compassion as we are kind and compassionate to human beings. We have to be kind and compassionate to animals, birds, every living creature. And even with vegetables. We eat as much as necessary. We cook, we don't waste anything. So if we change little bit into our lifestyle and have a compassionate life. And then of course the last one is always the feelings of love and gratitude. Because attitude of gratitude, every moment, every step in our life, we always have, of course we praise success, but the feelings of gratitude keeps us very humble, because arrogance also is kind of enemy, right? So if we are humble, and always as Sindhis have this, consider yourself to be servers, sevadhari. It's very common in Sindhis to go and do seva in temples, gurdwaras, everywhere, right? So we have to continue, we have to sustain our devotion, we have to sustain our seva, and so that we can constantly get ashish or blessings. So I want to, say thank you to all of you. I want to share my good wishes, and I'm sure that with compassion in our heart, blessings from God, we all will keep well and also keep safe. So my good wishes to everyone, keep well and keep safe. And if it's possible for you, if you can help me to fulfill this request of maintaining a little bit of time for yourself to remain calm, peaceful, gratitude, compassion, and then in the evening, and also have very loveful feelings. All these thoughts and feelings will keep our energy very positive, not only for ourselves, but as our Brahma Baba used to say, do little, but let the, whatever I do, let the reward be shared by everyone. Tere bhane sarva ka bhala. Whatever we do, I want reward to be shared by everyone. So this way we could serve and also take ashish from everyone. I appreciate your time, lot of patience while listening, and my good wishes and God's blessings for each one of you. Om Shanti, and thank you.
Namaste, Sister Mohini in New York. As always, your words of wisdom are always enduring to the heart. You spoke with such simplicity and so beautifully about Karuna to Karuna. And you also added two wonderful qualities about the Sindhis. In particular, their bhavna for seva and then ashrivad. It is through seva, tan man dhan, that you are going to accumulate so much ashrivad. And now let me introduce you to a dynamic duo all the way from London. Their names are Sunil and Karina Daryanani. Hailing from Accra in London, Sunil and Karina run the pharmaceutical family business established by their father since 1965. The Daryanani family has been connected to the Brahma Kumari since its inception in 1936. Believe it or not, spanning over 5 generations of family members in meditation. If Sunil is the head, then Karina is the heart. An accidental poet by her own admission, she began to tap into her creative energy of writing poetry at the funeral of her mother, and she hasn't stopped since. Today she is going to recite a poem for us, Beauty of the Inner Being. Over to you in London.
Om Shanti.
The sparkle of our unique specialities is like shining bright stars. Dive deep in silence and introspection. It will surprise you. The innermost quality of our heart is authenticity and incandescent love. Try bypassing the dark shadows of expectations and conditions. The pure nature of generosity is our original form, overflowing like a mighty ocean. Surf the waves of situations, deterring storms with one positive thought a day. The intention of the original being is full of goodness and integrity, like a shade of a tree on a sun-stricken day. Relax with the lens of self-love and soak in the coolness of acceptance. The natural spirit of confidence is sky high like a kite, free and liberating. With courage and patience, fortunes of success will suddenly arrive. Let us now pause for a second and celebrate the special event by congratulating one another and thanking the divine. For there is no denying that we all belong to one extraordinary worldwide family full of exquisite and beautiful qualities. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Karina. Good day to our brothers and sisters and greetings from London. Now, I would now like to present to you 5, or rather 6 golden nuggets from our scintillating Sindhi community. Firstly, I have Meenu and Arjun Melwani, who live in Hong Kong and who have been associated with the Brahma Kumaris for more than 40 years. Even with Bao Arjun being a chairman of a finance corporation for 50 years. Both have been instrumental in worldwide service to the Sindhi community and examples of modern day living with ancient wisdom. Then I have Dr. Ram Baksani, who is an established community leader of the NRI population in the UAE, where he arrived in 1959. Amidst his huge responsibilities as chairman of a 60-year-old business conglomerate, Bao Ram has had a close connection with Dadi Janki and the organization and continues to share his wisdom with his philanthropic activities. Murli Mukhi is from London, an astute businessman based here since 1971. He served as secretary and president of the Sindhi Association for several years and now serves as a trustee on the SAUK board. He is still very much committed to community service and has set a wonderful standard for us all to follow. And then we have Mr. Ratan Thadani. Dada Ratan is a director and chairman of the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University Trust Board. He is an architect by profession and responsible for all these wonderful buildings in the UK, through which service for humanity is carried out by the BKs. And last but not least, we have Vivek Daswani, who resides in St. Thomas, US Virgin Islands, with his wife, Angelina, whom you had pleasure of meeting earlier on. And they have their 3 sons. He operates a 52-year-old family business on the islands and has known the Brahma Kumaris since a very young age. And he is happy to have reconnected with them recently. Om Shanti.
My first experience with the Brahma Kumaris stems back about 40 years ago, 45 years ago, with my cousin, Sister Rosie, who came to the Virgin Islands many times and met us here and spread the message with us and our family. My wife's family also has had many encounters with the Brahma Kumari missions for many years as well. Lately, or more recently rather, in the month of April, we reconnected with the Brahma Kumaris. My father-in-law was not well and eventually was at the hospital in New York. During that time, we spent many days, almost every day, praying and meditating for his wellness. He later passed, and even though he passed, we had such a beautiful send-off for him. There were so many positive wishes and messages and positive feelings that we had toward him and for him. And it stemmed even after, several months after he's passed, that the meditations continued, and there were many new followers or new friends that became involved with the Brahma Kumari mission. So we wanted to thank the Brahma Kumaris for this really sense of enlightenment and sense of well-being for our family. It was a very comforting time for all of us. We don't really know, at least I really don't know what we would have done without the Brahma Kumaris being there for our entire family. So we wanted to thank you all very much for your support, love, and blessings, and good wishes.
We feel very fortunate that Arjun and myself joined the Brahma Kumaris World University about 35 years ago together. We would always look forward to going to Mount Abu. On the 18th of January particularly, we used to have it in our diaries and we would visit it there. It was the highlight of our trips. And then the attraction in Mount Abu was Baba's visit, the interaction with the senior sisters who would come from all around the world, and also, of course, the dadis, the senior dadis, among them especially Dadi Janki, who gave us so much love. The moment she would see us, she would open up her arms and fold us up in her lap. It was a great experience for us. We can never forget Dadi Janki. And Sister Jayanti, you being my guiding star. I remember when we needed you in Lagos, you came flying in almost 24 hours. You have always been our great support as well. And Sister Mohini, we have never missed out coming to New York and to Piping Rock. And also I remember we went to the retreat center, Peace Village, and we had a lovely Sindhi Sammelan gathering as well. The bottom line is what we have learned in Mount Raj Yoga is, for me, it's a self-study. I have learned to check and change and do whatever I can to give and not to take. That I hope will continue. And what about you, Arjun Bhai? What do you have to say?
Definitely. I see you that there is so much improvement and there are so many things that you are showing me. Anyway, I am learning from that also. And Dadi, you have given me so much love, affection, and that when I could not come to Mount Abu this year because of my fall, and therefore I requested you please come over to India, and really to serve a great surprise. You did come, and I'm so happy and grateful for that.
It was January 2019 at Gold Coast. Dadi gave us all her time and we can never forget her visit in 2019. Thank you, Brahma Kumari's family. We are very grateful for the whole life that we are leading now. Thank you. Om Shanti.
ब्रह्मा कुमारी एक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय संस्था है, न सिर्फ हिंदुस्तान जे कुंड कर्श में पखरियल आहे पर विलायत में बि जिते किथे उन जो वजूद ॾिसण में ईंदो आहे. In this unbelievably crazy time when the world is topsy-turvy, when we get up in the morning with hopefulness, fighting a backfoot battle against despair, there's a need to retrospect and carefully and honestly count our blessings. That's very important. But these days, when most of us wake up in the morning, we do not stretch our hand for the prayer book. We stretch it for the mobile phone. So blackmailed are we by gadgetry that there are no WhatsApp messages, no Instagram contacts, no emails. We feel desolate and angered. दिल खां पुछूं त असां भगवान खे कीअं विसारियो आहे? His love, His protection, His unconditional presence in our lives is a constant, even if we are often blinded by our sinfulness to see it. We ask ourselves in moments of retrospection, what then is true belonging? True belonging with God Almighty. And why only in adversity do we turn to Him for succor? True belonging is not something you negotiate externally. It's what you carry on in your heart. It's an absolute and cannot be quantified. It's finding the sacredness in being a part of something. When we reach this place, even momentarily, we belong everywhere and nowhere. That seems absurd, but it is true. It's true. It makes sense to me that we are called to combat this spiritual crisis of disconnection with one of our most valued spiritual possessions, and that is the God above. Yes, He will send us trials because He knows we need to be reminded of His all-powerful presence. We are His creation, and without these tests and trials, how will He rectify our weaknesses and our flaws? In a world experiencing wars, rumors of war, and dangers of every kind, including this dreadful COVID-19 virus, it's comforting to know God has promised to protect His people. It's an eternal promise. He may not all be on the front lines of a natural war, but we all face enemies. Brahma Kumaris has given to the world a rare commodity. It has given peace to the world. Nothing but peace. While we have world-class statesmen trying to bring in peace, or at least broker peace, there are no match to peace brought by Brahma Kumaris. It's a great. Whenever I reflect on the peaceful and efficient existence of Brahma Kumaris, I am amazed at their institutional perfection. Over 18,000 sisters and brothers at 9,500 centers in 140 countries, living in unmatched harmony, along with over 1 million closely connected followers, but leading undetached and regular life. It is not a small achievement. And Sindhis have a reason to be proud, because they have given Brahma Kumari to the world. Brahma Kumaris, which came into existence in 1937 at Hyderabad, Sindh, under their present name of Prajapita Brahma Kumaris Ishwariya Vishwavidyalaya. It is a university which does not give degrees. It gives peace. Not many know and recognize that Sindhis are one of the most peaceful communities. And when I say this, not only in India, but all over the world, have you ever come across any violent scene where a Sindhi is a part? They will easily succumb to even unjust situation. Otherwise, they would not have peacefully left their own motherland instead of fighting for their right at the time of partition of India. I am glad that mirroring Sindhi community, Brahma Kumaris are born to lead and set example for others. They are born to contribute, because when you cease to make contribution, you begin to die.
Dear Sindhi brothers and sisters, greetings from London. My name is Murli Mukhi and I live in London with my family since 1971. My family originally came to London from Kenya, East Africa. I served as the president of Sindhi Association of UK during the years 1997 to 2006, and now I am a trustee of the association. I was aware of the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual Universities for many years, and then more so since the establishment of the Global House back in 1991. However, I only really started to understand the organization properly back in 2006 when we hosted the Sindhi Sammelan in London and they had participated amongst our other organizations. I was very impressed by the unique way of their organization and also the punctuality, and also by the unconditional love with which they carried out the Seva. We, the Sindhis, had the great honor and privilege to receive the divine teachings and wisdom of the late respectable Mother Dadi Janki, when there were several Sindhi programs hosted at Global House for Sindhis at her request from 2010 onwards. She was in her 90s then and still so alert. Beloved Dadi made it so evident with her radiant love that she had a special place in her heart for the Sindhi community, and we all came closer of the organization because of that love. The particular occasion that I remember to my mind was when the Sindhi Association of UK had given her an award for the services to mankind, and then, of course, the unforgettable celebration of her 100th birthday, where we all ended up dancing to Maskalanda. We are so proud of Dadi's achievement in being a respectable senior of our Sindhi community up to the ripe age of 104, and so proud of the fact that the BK movement, now serving not only Indians but people from all colors and creed in no less than 140 countries, was found by the Sindhi and presently doing such a great service to mankind all over the world. Finally, I would like to offer on behalf of the Sindhi Association of UK, our sincere good wishes and blessings for this event, which enables Sindhis to learn of their great heritage in producing such wonderful saints like Dada J.P. Vaswani and Dadi Janki, whilst leaving us such a great legacy for which we consider ourselves fortunate. Om Shanti.
The theme that we have with the Sindhi meeting together on true belonging, that is true belonging to God, and also love that we get from Him with protection. Now we have all experienced this in some way, each one of us, and it's a really very good theme. At present, with this environment we live in and situation we are facing, we need to have more love and more protection from God. We have experienced that in many ways. Sindhi specialists are very much devotional and very much godly minded. And that I've seen from my personal experience over the last 42 years since I've been with the Brahma Kumaris. I remember when we arranged in Mount Abu first international spiritual peace conference in 1986. There was at that time fair amount of resistance of Sindhis to the Brahma Kumaris. I had a tough job collecting about 2,000 people to attend the International Sindhi Sammelan. But when they came, after 4 days, their total mind and attitude changed. They were so regretful. They asked from all dadis who were there, please forgive us. We were under wrong impression and misunderstanding. So what I'm trying to say is that Sindhis all over India and the world, where I have opportunity to give talk in a number of places, when we talk about Baba's or God's love and protection, they are so much receptive and they want to be close to God and they want to learn more and more about the God. And this is something we should be proud of. We have Brahma Baba, we have many other Sindhis, Sadhu Vaswani, Dada Jashan in our community, and we should not be only proud, but we should follow them to practice how we can have a true love and belonging to God and be protected by Him. And this is my message to all Sindhis who listen to this. Thank you and Om Shanti.
Welcome back. Thank you to our beautiful guest of honor for all their messages. You've been sitting for over 2 hours. It's time for a little bit of exercise. No Sindhi program is ever completed without the most famous Sindhi song, which is Mast Kalandar. The person singing this song is very special to everyone and to me. He is my taller half, my equal half, Girish Wadhwani. We'll be zooming in live into your living rooms to see how much you are going to dance to this. Let's roll on this.
हो लाल मिंजी हो लाल मिंजी लाल मिंजी पत रख जय भला झूले लालन सिंदरी जा सेवन जा सखी शाबाश कलंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दम दम दे अंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दा पहला नंबर हो लाल मिंजी हो लाल मिंजी चार चराग तुझा बरन हमेशा चार चराग तुझा बरन हमेशा पंजवा मां बारन आया भला झूले लालन ओ पंजवा मां बारन पंजवा मां बारन आया भला झूले लालन सिंदरी जा सेवन जा सखी शाबाश कलंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दम दम दे अंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दा पहला नंबर हो लाल मंजी हो लाल मंजी माता उंजा झूलन झोल भरींदे माता उंजा झूलन झोल भरींदे न्यानुन जा कंदे बाग भला झूले लालन ओ न्यानुन जा कंदे न्यानुन जा कंदे भाग भला झूले लालन सिंदरी जा सेवन जा सकी शाबाश कलंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दम दम दे अंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दा पहला नंबर ओ लाल मंजी पत रख जय भला झूले लालन सिंदरी जा सेवन जा सकी शाबाश कलंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दम दम दे अंदर दमादम मस्त कलंदर अली दा पहला नंबर ओ हो
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you're a little bit more energetic. We are approaching the end of our program for today. But before we end our program, I'd like to introduce to you someone without whom this entire program would not have taken place. Sister Anjani from New York. Sister Anjani has been in meditation since 37 years and was born in Guyana. She is instrumental for many Sindhi service in the US and now all over the world. Before I leave you and present you to Sister Anjani, I'd like to remind you of a beautiful image that keeps coming into my mind. We've seen the picture of Lord Krishna with the Swadershan chakra in his finger. Today, I'd leave you with this last image of Dadi Janki with her finger pointing upwards. And she would always say, Dina Nath, Dina Bandhu, Minji Dori, Tunje Hatame. Oh Lord, my lines of fortune lies only with you. Sister Anjani in New York now.
Om Shanti. I ask myself, what is one of the simplest and most complex lesson of truth that I have learned studying with the Brahma Kumaris? And that lesson is, I am peaceful and pure light, and I belong to God, the Supreme Light. The only being who is eternally my parent, mother and father. I would like to thank God for making everything easy in designing this program. And Dadi Janki, who also lives in my heart, who has tirelessly served the Sindhi community since she has started her spiritual journey. Special thank you to Mohini Didi and Jayanti Didi for your constant guidance and support of bringing the Sindhi families together and creating this wonderful and successful program. Thank you to my brother, Brad Arkini, as he says he's part of the Sindhi family, and Arjun Dada and Minuban, Dr. Ram Baksani, Dada Murli Mukhi, Ratan Dada, and my divine brother, Vivek Daswani, for your inspiring sharing. Listening to all those experiential 30 seconds video from around the world. That was wonderful. Thank you. Special thank you to Seema Ramchandani, my Zoom sister and friend, for the song of love for God. A special thanks to our team, who have become my Zoom family, for putting this event together. Sunil and Karina Mohan, Angelina Daswani, Girish and Minu Wadwani. Girish, a businessman from London, now based in Dubai. He's a trustee of the Brahma Kumaris UK and director of Brahma Kumaris Information Service UK for 25 years. He has a passion for music, media, and takes an active role to further charitable causes. Milu, a Raj Yoga meditation teacher with over 25 years experience. She's a registered holistic life coach in Dubai and a certified laughter yoga master trainer. When you need laughter as a medicine, please call on Milu. Milu was our MC for today's program. And continued thanks to Girish Jihani, who is a transformational business NLP coach. Thank you, team. Thank you very much. You are the best team to work with. The team shares its gratitude to those who have helped, whether in creating videos, writing, and preparing the invitation. A big thank you to Narayan Bhai for being our Zoom manager. To the promotion team from India and the many other countries, we are very grateful for your enthusiasm to reach out to our world Sindhi family. And this is where today at the beginning, we see that there wasn't room enough for the Zoom family, and some are on the YouTube. So today we have our Sindhi family from over 50 countries. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, everyone. And before I call on Jayanti Ben again, I would just like to make a little announcement that at the end of the program, you're going to see some information up, and that information, it would be on the screen as to who we are, and information on our website and phone numbers. You can get in touch with us for meditation classes or any seva that the Brahma Kumaris could offer. And now I would like to invite Jayanti Ben, Jayanti Didi, for sharing her closing thoughts and meditation. Om Shanti. And thank you everyone from around the world. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. I won't repeat thanks, but my gratitude is deep in my heart for all of you who've done so much. And of course, I know that you are our friends and you've been in contact before, and you'll stay with us and you'll continue to meditate and follow the things that Didi Mohini was talking about. But let's close with something very precious, that experience of inner peace. And I hope that this peace will be with you not just for the next 3 minutes, but forever and ever and ever. Om Shanti. Going inwards, I visualize that spark of light that I am, the being of light, the being of peace. And in this awareness of my eternal identity, I've stepped away just for a moment from all the external distractions. And in this awareness of my own state of peace, I can feel the presence of the divine. Nirakar, Jyoti Swarup, the being of light, Shiv Baba. Shiva the benefactor, Shiva the point, Shiva the creator, the seed, the mother, the father of the whole of humanity. My friend, my teacher, the true guide, the Satguru, the one who gives me all the treasures that he carries. The mother's love, the father's property of happiness, the unfailing support of the friend, the truth, the wisdom that the Supreme Teacher can give, and the Satguru who leads us to liberation, mukti, and Jivan Mukti. With all the gifts from the divine, I come back to the awareness of the physical world, but now in the awareness of the being that I am and my connection with the one above, bringing those gifts that I can now share with each one. Om Shanti.
रहे सदा सिंधु जी छोली मारुवड़न जी मिठड़ी बोली, रहे सदा सिंधु जी छोली मारुवड़न जी मिठड़ी बोली। गली गली ऐं घर घर गूंजन सिंधु अमर जा नारा नारा नारा। जिए सिंधु जिए सिंधु वारा जियन, सिंधु टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। जिए सिंधु जिए सिंधु वारा जियन, सिंधु टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। रहे सदा सिंधु जी छोली मारुवड़न जी मिठड़ी बोली। गली गली ऐं घर घर गूंजन सिंधु अमर जा नारा 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 नारा। जिए सिंधु जिए सिंधु वारा जियन, सिंधु टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। जिए सिंधु जिए सिंधु वारा जियन, सिंधु टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। गाह पुटन ऐं पेरू पचन मौला करे वरी है लवसन। गाह पुटन ऐं पेरू पचन मौला करे वरी है लवसन। हर काठे ऐं कारूं झरते बादल कारा कारा कारा। जिए सिंधु जिए सिंधु वारा जियन, सिंधु टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। जिए सिंधु जिए सिंधु वारा जियन, सिंधु टोपी अजरक वारा जियन। रहे सदा सिंधु जी छोली मारुवड़न जी मिठड़ी बोली। गली गली ऐं घर घर गूंजन सिंधु अमर जा नारा 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 नारा। जिए सिंधु जिए सिंधु वारा जियन सिंधी टोपी अजरक वारा जियन जिए सिंधु जिए सिंधु वारा जियन सिंधी टोपी अजरक वारा जियन रहे सदा सिंधु जी झोली मारू